the show where we take, those huge stacks of sources and dense articles, all the notes, and we boil them all down into the actionable insights that you can actually use. Today, we are diving straight into one of the most stressful situations anyone faces, the first few days of a new job.
Oh, absolutely. It's the ultimate test of learning on the fly, isn't it? You walk in and suddenly every single thing, every person, every acronym is this mission-critical piece of data you have to just absorb. Instantly. And your brain goes from feeling like this smart, capable professional to, I don't know, a computer trying to run a massive new operating system on, no RAM.
That is the perfect analogy. You are trying so hard to look competent, but inside you feel like you're standing in front of an information fire hose that's just set to max.
Yeah.
And we know you, the learner, want the shortcut. You want to know how to manage that chaos. So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're focusing on some really sharp excerpts from one source, Mastering the Corporate Learning Curve.
And our goal here isn't just to summarize the problem. It's to pull out the essential nuggets, the psychological framing and the actual verbal tools that let you turn that, that flustered beginning into a proactive, manageable start.
Okay, let's unpack this. The source material starts right where it hurts, the emotional and cognitive reality of day one. It calls it the drama of it all.
Which it is. It's a drama.
It really is. And it mentions two specific feelings. Feeling half asleep and being totally flustered by too many new names.
That phrase, half asleep, is so interesting. It's not necessarily about being physically tired, though you are.
Right.
It's about mental fatigue. Your brain is working overtime just trying to filter and categorize this flood of unstructured data. It's the cost of constant context switching.
So every new face, every new login, every new acronym.
Exactly.
Right.
Each one forces your brain to dump its previous context and load a completely new one. You're not just burning fuel, you're burning it inefficiently.
So it's the constant changing of the data streams that's so exhausting, not just the volume.
Precisely. And the source specifically calls out being flustered by too many new names. That's such a specific bottleneck, and for good reason.
Why are names so much harder?
Well, because learning a name isn't like learning a spreadsheet formula. You're encoding social data. It's high-stakes information tied to a person, a role, a hierarchy, a potential relationship. It uses different parts of your brain.
And then you have that layer of social anxiety on top of it. You're dreading the moment you have to use the name and you can't pull it up.
That's the definition of cognitive load. It's the technical stuff plus the stress of potential social failure. And if you look at the source's title, Mastering the Corporate Learning Curve, that curve isn't just about learning the job. It's about managing this intense initial cognitive tax.
So just knowing that this feeling is normal, that it's just a structural part of the learning curve, that's actually the first tool. It kind of normalizes the struggle.
It does. It means you can manage it proactively. You know you're going to feel flustered, so you can conserve mental energy. Your goal on day one shouldn't be optimization. It should be structured intake.
Take notes on names and roles specifically.
Yes, acknowledge the curve is steep, and then build the systems that will shorten the time you spend on that painful part of it.
Okay, so that's the internal feeling. But then the source shifts to the external world, to the language of the office. Once you deal with the internal drama, you have to decode what everyone is actually saying.
A hidden English.
Exactly. This corporate jargon where words mean something much more specific than they sound.
And if you misunderstand this hidden English, you can't respond the right way. Your learning speed just grinds to a halt. The source pulls out 3 key phrases you have to translate immediately.
Let's do the first one, which you hear constantly. Slammed.
Right. Sorry, can't help now, I'm totally slammed.
So casually, that just means busy.
But in a corporate environment, it is so much more. It's operational status. When someone says they're slammed, your goal needs to shift from get an answer now to find the right cue.
Wait, so they're not just being rude or blowing me off?
Not usually, no.
Yeah.
They're giving you process information. See, busy implies they have a high volume of work, but it's generally manageable.
Okay.
Slammed implies that external pressures have taken over their schedule and they have very little control over their immediate time. Their prioritization system is maxed out.
So my response shouldn't be, oh, sorry to bother you.
No, it should be something like understood. Is there a ticket system I should use, or is there a time later this week that tends to be better?
So you're translating their status update into a process queue.
Yeah.
That turns a dead end into an actual next step.
And you immediately show that you get how things work there. It's a huge win.
Okay, the second phrase, which we've already mentioned, is learning curve. But let's look at it from the inside. What does a manager really mean when they say, just so you know, there's a steep learning curve here?
The first thought is, okay, this job is hard. But the real insight, the so what, is that they are actively managing your performance expectations.
And they're giving you an opening.
They're giving you a massive opening. They're basically saying, we know this will take a lot of effort, so we expect to see you putting in that effort. It's not just an observation, it's an invitation to own your learning speed.
So you can seize that. You could immediately say something like, great, thanks for the heads up. I know the learning curve is steep, so I'd love to schedule a quick 15-minute check-in in 4 weeks to make sure I'm on the right track.
Precisely. You're using their language to manage their expectations and show you're proactive. Yeah. You've turned a warning into a strategic tool for yourself.
Okay, so on to the third one, overbooked. Now, at first, this just sounds like slammed, but the source treats it as a separate thing. Why? Isn't it just semantics?
That's a great question. And the difference is it's vital for understanding how a company actually runs. Slammed is about the volume of tasks in your queue.
Right, the to-do list.
Overbooked is about the rigidity of your scheduled commitments, your calendar time. And in a structured environment, calendar time is often sacred. It's client meetings, executive reviews, things that can't be moved.
I see. So slammed is a pile of internal work, but overbooked means they have fixed, external, or high-priority commitments.
That's it. So when you hear overbooked on day one, it signals that trying to squeeze in a quick question isn't just disruptive, it's potentially infringing on a much higher priority commitment.
So for you, the learner, it means you have to be super structured. Send a concise email, ask for a specific 10-minute slot later, or maybe find someone else to ask.
It's all about respecting the currency of time in that specific system.
So we've covered the internal feeling, the fluster, the fatigue, and we've decoded the external language. But the most valuable part of the source isn't the diagnosis. It's the prescription.
The tool.
Yes, what we're calling the rescue line. It's this practical verbal tool that gives you a way to pause the information fire hose without looking like you're not keeping up.
I wish I had had this. I spent so many first weeks just nodding and then trying to figure it all out later.
Me too. Just nodding blankly until I could find an empty room to panic in. Yeah. So we have to get this phrase exactly right because the way it's built is just, it's brilliant.
Let's hear it.
Okay, the suggested line is, I'm a bit slammed with new information. Could you repeat that last part slowly?
Okay, let's break that down. It's so effective. First, the language.
Yeah.
I'm a bit slammed with new information.
You're using their jargon.
You're using their corporate shorthand. You're not saying, I don't get it, or my brain is full. You are positioning your overload as a direct result of the sheer volume of valuable stuff they are giving you.
Right. You're almost complimenting them on how fast they're teaching you. You're saying the knowledge flow is so rich, you just need a second to catch up.
That's the key psychological move. And then the second part is this clear, non-aggressive request. Could you repeat that last part slowly?
It's so specific.
It's surgical. You're not asking them to repeat everything. You're isolating the problem to the very last thing they said. It's a tiny, easy-to-fulfill request for them.
So it addresses both of those big problems we talked about at the start. It acknowledges the cognitive overload by saying you're slammed, and it helps with the data intake by asking them to slow down just for a second.
And for you listening, this is how you demonstrate self-awareness. You're not disorganized. You are actively managing the flow of information. You're making sure the data you get is accurate and retained, so you shorten that learning curve yourself.
You go from being a passive victim of the fire hose to an active manager of the flow. You're just hitting the pause button, using their language to do it.
And that little pause makes all the difference. It prevents the system crash. It stops that flustered feeling from taking over completely.
So to wrap this all up for you, the learner, we've talked about the initial drama, feeling flustered, half asleep, and knowing that's just a sign of high cognitive load.
Then we decoded that hidden English slammed, learning curve, overbooked, and how each one signals a different strategic response from you.
And finally, we gave you the tool, that specific rescue line to pause and re-engage without losing face.
And if we step back, this all really reinforces one big idea. Proactively managing information flow is the key skill for any successful learner in a new place, not just a new job.
It's about recognizing that predictable pattern of overload.
And having a script ready to go.
Exactly. And that brings us to a final thought for you to think about. The source specifically called out being flustered by too many new names. We know that social data is cognitively expensive to encode.
Hmm.
So here's the question. What if you treated social onboarding like a structured project? What if your first 15 minutes of every day weren't for tasks, but were for actively reviewing your notes on names, roles, and who owns what project?
Instead of just a series of casual encounters you hope to remember, that's a powerful shift in mindset.
That's the kind of systematic thinking that gets you up that learning curve incredibly fast.